for that kind introduction. How is everybody doing today? You guys doing all right? I know you've been really, really quiet and sitting down. Do you want to stand up and stretch yourself just a little bit? It's a good idea, right? Everybody stand up, please. Okay, stretch yourself, take a deep breath. And Shaukat, would you mind taking a picture so I can tell everybody I got a standing ovation? I'm kidding about that. I will have to earn that if I get it. So I'm joking about the standing ovation piece. Okay, let me talk to my friend here. Are we ready to go? Okay, awesome. Can you go back up? Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, please sit down. Let's have a conversation. And I always start all my presentations with a Sanskrit phrase that my mother taught me when I was about 6, 7 years old. And it goes something like this: Acharya Deva Bhava. And I'll translate for you just in case. Acharya is teacher. Teacher is made in the image of God and should be respected as one would respect God. And what she told me was, she told me to see a teacher in every person I get to interact with. So which means every one of you in this room, everybody included, is going to be my teacher. So I will share an idea or two of what's going on at Michigan, but you are going to have to help me out because you need to understand my situation. You have been sitting here for an hour and a half or so, 3 brilliant presenters, and now I'm supposed to come and try to share a story with you. There is no way I can compete with all these outstanding presenters we had, so I'm going to need a lot of help from you. So are you promising that you'll help? There are cameras watching, okay? What happens in Kenya ends up in YouTube. So you did promise me that you're gonna help me, is that correct? Yeah, all right, so let's have a conversation and dialogue. I sincerely believe, this is my belief, that OpenAI is going to be as impactful technology as for this entire century, and a force for really positive disruption. I believe that it's going to be as transformative as the internet has been. And but when internet came upon us, it came with a lot of opportunities, and it also came with a lot of challenges, which means Gen AI, generative AI, is also coming with a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges. You heard about that today from our speakers. You heard about the concerns around privacy. You heard about the concerns around ethical use. You heard about biases in the algorithm, and we'll have a chance to address all of those and connect that with the story at Michigan as to what we are doing at University of Michigan. I also want to acknowledge and thank folks who are handling sound system. Are you all able to hear me okay? So it's credit to them. And I'm sorry that I'm walking around and having to make you keep up with me. I'll try to go as slow as possible. Unless we want to test your speed, that can run really fast back and forth. Okay, all right, no, thank you. I watched him when Kulud was presenting. He had to go back and forth on the camera. So, and he did such a fabulous job. So it's a terrific work. And he's saying, you better be Clara, stand right there. I don't want to move around. So sorry, can't do that. But Clara is special. She's brilliant. And she has been one of my mentors. So many teachers here in this room. And I'm hoping that you all will be my teachers as well. So as we think about internet, I would love to hear from you. Have you used ChatGPT? At Michigan, we call it UMGPT, and I'll explain what that is. And what was your experience like? And I'm a patient teacher. I'm very experienced. When I'm in front of a class, I'll ask a question, and I don't mind waiting for 20 minutes to get an answer if there is no answer. And then my presentation will be over, and that'll be cool. Okay, well, anyway, who wants to help me? What has been your experience like? Raise your hand. It's okay. All answers are right answers. Yeah, go ahead. Young man, tell us your name. Okay, and? Mm-hmm. Okay. As Clara eloquently pointed out, that it even lies so well that it's believable lie, right? So it's a believable lie. And so information it can give you, and you have tried it, and what has been your experience? Did you find things where it lied and other places where it gave you some good information? Good. Okay, I think you had your hand up, right? Well, I bow before you in humility. I love teachers. Go ahead. Yeah. That's for speakers who are, that's people who are listening. Go ahead.
I use ChatGPT almost every week to lesson plan. It gives me it makes my work easier because then I don't have to sit and think about how all the activities I need to put for my students. but I have to be very specific when I'm getting a lesson plan from ChatGPT. So I have to put in all the specific things that I need, or else I don't get exactly what I need. Thank you.
No, that's great. I mean, I'm so glad you're such a devoted teacher that you're even planning and making all these lessons plans. So kudos to you. And the great point that you made there was the prompt engineering skills. How you prompt and what you ask is how you're going to get the right answer. And at Michigan, we have a prompt engineering guide that's available to the entire world to download for free. And I'll tell you about that here in a minute. But thank you for sharing that. We'll take one more before we move forward. One more, please. You know, we've been this side. There you go. That's my friend from elevator. Go ahead, please. We were joking other day about how everyone is quiet in the elevator. And she said she was exactly thinking the same thing. That's what she told me. Go ahead. Tell us your name, please.
Thank you. My name is Nelly. I'm a teacher as well. I use ChatGPT to rephrase my sentences. So sometimes when I'm writing reports also for students, I write and then I put it there and I see if it is okay. Sometimes it also changes my sentiments or whatever I mean.
No, I think, thank you. And again, thank you for being teacher. I bow before you in humility as well. Pretty soon, considering how many teachers are on this room, when I called you all my teachers, I'm going to have a back pain here as I keep bowing, you know. Now, this is fantastic. I love teachers. My mother was a teacher. My grandmother was a teacher. And when I became an engineer and wanted to be a professor, my dad was an entrepreneur, initially was not happy with me. And I told him, Dad, think about it. I'm combining your profession. You're an engineer, and mom's profession who was a teacher, and I became an engineering teacher. And so then he was okay. You know, he was not fully convinced yet that I was on the right track, but he was okay. Later in life, he understood what I was trying to do. But thank you. Let's move forward a little bit more, and thank you for participating. You guys have been great. Now, what concerns you about generative AI, if any? Do you have any concerns? Let's go to this side. You know, in my classes, I usually always called on people who sat in the back. So we have a lot of brilliant people sitting in the back of the room there. Any ideas from the back of the room here? What concerns you about generative AI, if any? As I'm looking at you, everybody's like looking away. So that happens sometimes. Any ideas? You're on spot. Okay, there's a few in the back. Okay, right there. Please go ahead. Thank you. He's bringing you a microphone. We're giving a workout to all these colleagues who are carrying microphones. Thank you for your help.
Hello, my name is Charlotte. I'm a law lecturer. So one of the concerns that I have about generative AI, it undermines critical thinking for my students, as well as not actually giving a conducive environment for them to develop their research skills.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great point. And that has been the concern around critical thinking. Each generative AI going to take our ability away to learn those critical thinking skills that are extremely important as we are growing up, as in our formative years, including in college, that critical thinking skills. And that's where we as all teachers are challenged to work on our pedagogy and be really creative and find creative ways to integrate generative AI without compromising creativity. Giving opportunities to be really, really creative to our young students is going to be extremely helpful. And that's a challenge for all of us as teachers. We have to collectively work on it. And that's the beauty of these conferences like that. And that's where kudos to AKU and Shaukat, who is an amazing leader, and his ability to connect people is amazing. He brings people from everywhere. And I don't know how he does it, but he knows literally people in every single continent, probably. I call him the connector. Go ahead. I think there's a comment here. Go ahead, please. Can we get a microphone to this young man over here? I am so sorry. You're having to run back and forth.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ali. My concern is if you look at it in terms of digital transformation, from solutions part of it and system part of it. If you look at it, for example, when we are doing systems, we used to have localhost. Nowadays, with what has happened, we've moved into cloud-based solutions and all that. So I felt like that one has, you know, kind of replaced the local servers and all that. And now we are going from, as we are continuing with the transformation, we are going into AI. So from the system perspective, what is the impact of the AI on this?
And that's a very valid concern. And there is a lot we don't know as these transformations occur, right? We were talking about transparency around AI, and Clara and I were having a side conversation there saying that when you think about generative AI, it's like a little black box. where the information goes in and some information comes out. And how do we know where that information came from and how we got it? And there are concerns around it. I know there's a person behind you who had a comment. Go ahead, please.
My name is Rosalind. I'm a nurse by profession. Now, one thing about the AI, I find it makes work difficult. You know, we expect it to help you, but you have to be a critical thinker. You must tell it exactly what you want because it has to understand your way of doing things. It has to understand the environment where you are speaking from. So, and then whatever it produces, you have to look at it and confirm that it is okay. So it doesn't make life easier. But what I like about it, as you converse as if you're conversing with a person. Thank you.
No, I think both great points. And that brings us home because she talked about both a concern and an advantage. Have you noticed that when I started asking questions about concerns, there are a lot more hands that are going up in the room? Do you see that? Do you see that? There's one hand up here. Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is Ajmal Rizvi. I come from Pakistan. The concern that I have that my wife is a teacher and she has been using Chat GPT and she expects the same from me to come up with the right answers as per her expectations. So that is my concern.
You know, I wish I could help you there, but that's really between you and your wife. I'm not getting in there. So I have a story to tell you about that. I write to my staff every Wednesday an email where, you know, it's a very personal and I write it in my own voice. So my team decided to train one of our tools to write like me in my voice. And they took all of my previous emails, leveraged them and trained the tool. And it wrote an email for me based on the prompt. And I brought that email home and I showed it to my wife. And she said, I like that guy better. Thank God we've been married for about 35 years. I don't think we're going anywhere. Otherwise, I would have been worried. So it might have been a one-way trip to Nairobi for me. So, but yeah, you know, it's really interesting how different people relate to this technology based on where we're at. At University of Michigan, we decided to take a very proactive approach to this technology. You know, we are privileged enough where University of Michigan is a large institution. We have 19 schools and colleges, 65,000 plus students. We have a budget of about $14 billion. Half of that comes from our hospital system. We own our own hospital, and rest is the rest of the university. Our endowment is about $21 billion, not as much as Harvard's, I might say, but for a public institution, it's there. And our focus on generative AI was not about Michigan, but about how can this technology be used to help with public good. We are a public institution. We want to make sure that we are leveraging it the right way. So what I would like to do is, assuming it plays well, I want to share a short, about a 2-minute video. Is that okay? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Hopefully this will play well.
Imagine a world where AI doesn't just learn, but it creates. Welcome to the era of generative artificial intelligence. Generative AI, unlike traditional AI, doesn't just analyze and learn from data. It uses what it's learned to generate new content, ranging from text, images, music, and more. The usage of Gen AI is skyrocketing. Millions of people around the world are already using tools powered by this technology every day. It was even used to create this video. From rendering realistic human faces, to composing music, writing articles, and even designing buildings, Gen AI is pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But we're just scratching the surface. The potential of generative AI is enormous. It's set to disrupt industries, revolutionize creativity, and transform the way we live and work. That's why it's so important for institutions like the University of Michigan to lead the way in our society's use of generative AI. Because the world is making new discoveries about the promises and pitfalls of this groundbreaking technology every day. U of M is committed to laying the foundation for the responsible, ethical, and legal use of generative AI in higher education and beyond. Information and Technology Services is also dedicated to delivering inclusive and equitable access to Gen AI services for everyone in the U of M community. The future is here, and it will be written by all of us, working hand in hand with generative AI and everything it inspires.
So I wanted to point out something. Generally, videos of this quality in the past used to take us between 6 to 8 months to develop. This video was developed in a day and a half. In a day and a half. There are some marketing and communication professionals in this room. Think about how this is going to potentially positively disrupt your field, where I want you to take the optimistic view. Don't think like, oh, AI is going to take my jobs away. AI is not going to take your jobs away, in my humble opinion. Someone who knows AI will take your job away. So think about it this way. Someone who knows AI will take your job away. So that's the approach we have taken. So taking one step further, let me go back a little bit. I have no idea what's happening here. So we'll either it's an operator error here, or yeah, there you go. Let me go forward. Generative AI, overall AI field is not new. You heard Clara had a beautiful chart. The development started in 50s with a famous paper by Dr. Alan Turing, who wrote on machine learning, and that started the AI journey. One interesting seminal movement that I remember growing up was when IBM's Deep Blue defeated Gary Kasparov, the world chess champion. I still remember that. And some of you are nodding your heads who are about my age group. So we kind of saw that movement together and enjoyed it, thinking, wow, this can do that. And then, of course, beyond that, with the release of ChatGPT, things have rapidly moved forward. And if you look at the charts, I'm not going to go through all of them, but if you think about all that has happened with the most recent announcement by both Microsoft and Amazon, where Microsoft talked about investing $100 billion with a B, and Amazon announced a month before that they intend to invest $150 billion. So when people are talking about, can we make our large language models? You and I, even University of Michigan, even Harvard, even AKU, many countries do not have the ability to build our own large language models. That simply is not possible because of the resources and how intensive those resources are, including the impact of an environment. So we have to work collectively together and collaborate to find a path forward, or we are stuck with using models that are developed by the Googles of the world, the Amazons of the world, the OpenAIs of the world, the Mistral of the world, Meta, or Llama 2, some of the OpenAI products, but we will have to collaborate, and that's where gatherings like this are absolutely critical and important. If I asked you to complete this sentence, how would you complete this sentence? If I asked you to complete just with I, just starting with I. Now remember, if you're a 2-year-old, you may complete this sentence differently. If you're a teacher, you'll complete this sentence differently. If you're an engineer, you'll complete this sentence differently. If you're from Kenya, you may complete this sentence differently. So our culture, our background, our life experiences, they all come into play. So how I would like somebody to complete this sentence, please. There is a reason why we're doing this. Go ahead, please. I am fascinated, and it has nothing to do with what I'm speaking. She's fascinated about the technology here. So let's move forward. What if I changed it to I am? How would you complete this sentence? Somebody from this side of the room? Just shout it out. How would you complete this sentence? So, sorry, speak up, please. You're happy? Well, I'm glad I contributed to your happiness. I'll take full credit for it, all right? Let's take one more step further. How would we complete this sentence? I am going. What would we do? Any ideas on this side of the room? How about my friend radio voice right here? I'm going to use it. Well, thank you. I'm glad I inspired you to use it. Okay. All right. Let's take one more step further. Depending on the context now, this sentence will have a whole new meaning, right? Notice I ate an apple or I own an apple. Depending on the context now, the sentence, how you use is going to be different. Why are we going through this exercise? So let me tell you a little secret about large language models. They were designed. How did they design the LLM? They took complete full sentences from vocabulary that was out there that you and I wrote, and they truncated those sentences and put them aside. Then they took other data of completed sentences and trained the neural net model, and then taught the model to complete the incomplete sentences. That's how large language models were built. Large language models do not have feeling. When you tell them, I love you, it will say, I love you back. That doesn't mean it's falling for you, okay? It does not mean that, okay? You are better off with other humans, okay? So the point I'm making there is it was designed to complete sentences. It does not think right now. It has no feelings. It is not becoming sentient and coming and taking our life over, at least not in my lifetime. And if it happens after my lifetime, after I'm gone from this earth, and if you find out I was wrong, you can send me an email and I will not respond, okay? But moving along, we all did the work of really large language models. When we tried to complete these sentences, we were playing the role of large language models. So when people think about, is large language model a black box, a mystery? It's not mystery. It's not too difficult. It's dumb. It's not that smart. What it needs is to get better and better. It needs lots of data, and it needs lots of compute power. And that's why it needs those $100 billion. Okay, that's why it needs that. It's just a brute force technique of trying to improve. So it's nothing that we humans cannot understand. It's something we can all understand. We just have to take effort. Come to my class at Michigan and we'll learn together, okay? All right? So taking one step further, smartphones, we use it all the time, okay? And we text each other, right? Now, have you seen that your smartphones try to auto-complete your sentences based on your past habits? Yes. Sometimes they do it irritatingly wrong way, right? Reason for that is they're trained on some of the words you have used before. Reason they're terrible is they're trained on like 50 words. The large language models have been trained on billions of words. That's the difference. So large language model is nothing but an autocomplete on steroids. It's an autocomplete on steroids. That's what we need to think about. And what is important is context, scope, ethics, diversity, and data quality. Let's talk about that data quality right for a couple of minutes. The data right now, we talked about bias a lot, right? It's a Eurocentric model. Most of the data has come from Reddit, from the internet, and so on. So Africa, for example, there's not much data from Africa in that model. There is not much data from India in that model. So how can Kenya, East Africa, India, how can these countries and continents help? They need to start working towards providing quality data. There are companies actually doing that, leveraging the ethical use of AI to create data sets to better train these models so they can actually help us in Kenya, they can help us in India, they can help us in the rest of the world. Otherwise, we are stuck with Eurocentric model that currently exists. So it is going to miss a lot of things, especially if you start asking cultural things. It has no information. It does not have that information. So taking one more step further, AI will absolutely disrupt everything. I talked about positive disruption, right? I have several examples here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I wanted you to see some of them as to what's happening. I live in Detroit, Ann Arbor. Most of the car companies are in our backyard. They're finding out that from a paper drawing going to prototype, what used to take them many, many years with the use of AI and generative AI, that time is being reduced to a matter of just few months, years to months. Productivity is expected to go up 10x. But is that the right thing? Why am I asking that question? What if I asked you, what is the average income per year for a family of 4 in the world right now? Average income, family of 4. If you Google that or ask ChatGPT or whoever, the number you'll get is somewhere around $9,000 to $12,000 a year. Seems high. Why is it high? Because it includes US and Europe. You take them out, it drops to about between 12 and 1,500. Shaukat actually told me I have all the time in the world. So she's giving me a little 5 minutes thing. So we'll try to wrap it up in 5 minutes. But if you're having fun, we'll stay, we'll continue, okay? I'm a professor. I'm used to teaching 75 minutes. I don't do things in 30 minutes. Shaukat is getting nervous. But taking one more step further, the chatbot has been created where it's doing better than human doctors. We are testing this in our hospital. Arshad talked about some of the work that's going on in, and Arshad, you talked about that patient discharge. I experienced this firsthand when I was the patient. Took them 5 hours to give me discharge. And all they told me was, in the end, go home and take ibuprofen, okay? So I could have told that to myself and left. So I took that as a challenge, and we improved the efficacy by leveraging something. And what we configured and did was in 10 minutes. As I go through different things, these are all the interesting examples that are happening all over the world, okay? As you think about it, I like this one. I could do with few less lawyers in the world, frankly. Sorry if somebody's a lawyer here, don't mean to offend you. But, again, the key is, and Arshad pointed this out, the models and the tools are meant to augment humanity, not replace us. They are meant to augment humanity, not replace us. They're set to enhance what we do, not replace what we do. AI could also help with children and raises some ethical dilemmas. What are the ethical dilemmas? AI could be used, for example, to predict children at harm in their homes. But what if it's wrong? AI does make mistakes. The parents will be harassed. If you're child focused, you might say, oh, let's just do it. But if you think about the other aspects of it, you may say, no, we shouldn't be doing it. So what do we do now? That's an ethical dilemma that we all need to collectively solve. There is no right answers for this. Engineers are going to be changing the way they work. Arts and creative arts are going to be disrupted. And some of you had concerns about arts. I'm happy to talk to you offline. We have some really interesting examples of how our artists are using this in some of our classes. And so what we did at University of Michigan is we took an interesting approach to generative AI, where we had a committee, just like Harvard did. There's a 70-page report that was publicly released in June of last year, has been downloaded thousands of times across, that provides guidance on ethical, responsible use of AI. That gives guidance on pedagogy. How should teachers teach? How should researchers leverage it? What should students do? All of that information is there, and it's freely available for anybody who wants to use it. At Michigan, we created our own private platform called UMGPT. Under UMGPT, and it's available to the entire campus. We have between 14 to 16,000 daily users. It's free to the entire community. That was important to us as equity, because not all students at Michigan can afford to pay $20 or $25 a month to OpenAI. So under that platform, under UMGPT, students can have access to GPT-4, Llama 2, GPT 3.5, and also to a variety of other tools that we continue to deploy, including DALL-E 3 most recently. That's the text-to-image generator. We also developed Maisie. This is a very powerful tool. This is our own intellectual property, leveraging Maisie, and I'm happy to get into details maybe during our panel discussion. What professors are able to do is deploy 24/7 AI tutors. 24/7 AI tutors leveraging Maisie. It takes 8 minutes to configure Maisie. 8 minutes, that's it. Give me 8 minutes of your time and you have a 24/7 tutor for your class. And we hope to open source this product later on. And we, of course, have the toolkit for our researchers to use. So point I'm making is, it's an incredible world. And here's an example of the tutors that I talked about and all the different things we are doing. It has been deployed as advisor sidekick to advise the students. And I could go on and on of all the different examples, but I want to be respectful of the time crunch that you talked about. So what I wanted to do was emphasize to all of you that when we think about this technology, the opportunities are endless. So if you haven't tried it, I would encourage you to give it a shot, experiment with it, try it, because it will help you innovate, it will help you inspire. And I believe that Ubuntu in Swahili, right? Ubuntu, is that how you say it? Ubuntu, okay. And translated is I am because we are, and we are talking about collaboration of all of us, right? So if we all can collaborate, we can actually change our world for better. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you for participating. Thank you for helping. Thank you for running the microphones all over the place. I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you. You've been great teachers.